Good morning, it's Friday 28th of June, about 9 o'clock in the morning. Big day today, because today is the first selection I'm going to do of the fry which was born 6 weeks ago this evening. So I've got several priorities for going through those. One is I need to get rid of the smallest ones that are just not growing at all. So that's the first instance, is size them. And then there's a group of them which are really growing somewhat larger than the others, what would be classed as Toby, I suppose, to use the normal term. And I can see they're eating the smallest of the fry on a regular basis. So once I've got them sorted out, I'll make a decision as to whether they get separated away from the sort of the standard grade, or whether I think the standard grade are going to be safe with those. I'm just going to see where we're at that way. And then ultimately I want to find out how many we've got. If you saw the last video, you know that we did a second spawning. So I have another group of fish now. And once they hatch, I'll do Croco selection, which is just keeping the black babies. So I want to have an idea of how many I had in the tank from the first spawning, to give me an idea of how many I want to choose to keep, assuming there's that many available, assuming they hatch okay. How many I want to keep in the paddling pool outside. So I'm going to take a look at the paddling pool now and show you where we're at with the eggs. So out here with the paddling pool. We'll have a closer look at the eggs at the moment, but just give you a little mention of something I've started doing yesterday, which is installing this filtration system which came from the guys at Manakoi. When this pool was set up with for holding the males, it had two buckets of alpha grog with very simple air systems, airflow systems through them, and the water quality stayed absolutely superb. So I'm keen to use this filtration system with alpha grog, only with alpha grog, and see how well it maintains the tank of fry, or the pool of fry. Several reasons for doing that. One is the fact that if I expand into more and more pools, it's quite likely that Intex pools like these will feature if I expand something further. And as much as I may wish to, I can't afford nexuses everywhere or drums or anything. So I need to find a simple, reliable way of filtering these pools. And I'm hoping that this is going to prove to be that. Anyway, so I'll talk about more of that once that's set up properly. But let's take a look at the eggs. Unfortunately, there really are far too many unfertilized eggs from this spawning for my liking. They are the white ones, you can see, the solid white ones. But there are a number of eggs showing around the sides of the nets, which have got eyes appearing on them, and I'm hoping that these will start to hatch in the next 24 hours or so, and that will give me an idea where we're at with numbers. The original female that was used and didn't spawn, she still hasn't spawned in the main pond. So, you know, if the worst comes to worst, I still have another female I can use if I deem it necessary. Anyway, that's where we're at. So what I shall do now is sort the net out behind me. I need to arrange it so that the fry are all at close quarters. Get that sorted out, and then we'll start to take a look at them. We'll talk about them a little bit later. Okay, so all the fish are in the net behind me now. We'll take a quick look at those and a quick scoop before I start going through and do my little selection, and then we'll take a look at those later on today once I've gone through them all and have more of an idea myself what I'm looking for. I've never selected metallic fish before, to be honest. I was chatting to Masaru Saito Shintro the other day. Funny enough, Shintro Koi Farm, now famous for Go Sankei. His father originally bred Deutsche Matanishiki and other metallic Hikari Moyo. So he's had exposure to metallic koi as a young lad before turning the farm over to Go Sankei, and he gave me a few pointers. So we'll have a look through and see what we've got. I'll show you a quick scoop, a random scoop from the net to start with, before I sit down and go through them myself. So here we are. This is what I've got to look at through the rest of the day. Looking for signs of good metallic luster around the head, pectoral fins primarily. I'd say one of the main objectives today is get rid of the smallest. You can see some of them really incredibly small, and I don't think they're ever going to grow, so they need to go to make space for their larger siblings. And then once I've gone through these, the keepers initially go to another part of the net, and then maybe I'll sort through again and have a count up and see where we're at later on, probably this afternoon. Okay, it's early afternoon now, about 1 AM. Selection was finished a couple of hours ago, to be honest, but found there was quite a lot of muck in the net, and caught underneath the net as well in the tank on the base. Not really sure what it was. It was, as you stirred it up, it wasn't smelly muck, it was just muck. You'll note that previously the water in here was green because the UV was switched off. UV was switched on probably this time last week, maybe a bit earlier, Thursday. And I think that a lot of the muck that accumulated was the dead algae on the bottom, and that also blocked the sides of the net as well. So the tank's been given a bit of a clean. A lot of that's been swept up to pass through the nexus, which I'm sure will take it out very easily. And the net's been washed as well. I actually got the net in the home laundry machine, which surprised me somewhat when my mum said, yeah, of course it's okay. There we go. As I mentioned in the video the other day, I think I always say whenever I write about koi breeders, behind every koi breeder there's good women. That goes for all the breeders in Japan that I know. Mr. McGurk out of Purling and Scott of Purling got Maureen kicking their ass and keeping them in gear. So there's always a good woman around to look after the koi breeders. Anyway, so the fish now are in this round North Line net, temporary net behind me. I'm going to go through them again, count them, see how many we've got left, and then we'll show you them and talk through some of them and the reasons I've kept them and what I'm hoping, the particular ones that I do, or some of the particular ones that I do, that I've kept, what I hope they do, I should say. Get the words right there. Anyway, so I'm going to sort that out, and so I'll be back with you in a minute. Okay, so in this bowl, 563 of the baby Beni Hikakuri, which I've kept at this stage. Selection criteria of this day was very much size based, as much as anything. There were lots of the small fry, which, whilst in the bowl, in the net, when you looked at them, were okay, and they seemed to be bright. The fins still not developed, pectoral fins, and I just think that they're not going to really develop at all, to be honest. So I decided at this stage those small ones unfortunately needed to go. In terms of the actual, what I'm looking for, what I'm hoping for, and I must stress, I mean, by no means an expert at this, in respect to the fact that I've never ever, as far as I recall, done any selection of metallic fry. It's the first time I've watched Jos Arben do some selections out in Yoshikigoi, but none at this small stage, I don't think, as far as I recall anyway. So basically I'm looking for some sign of shine on the fish, and some of these more than others have that. Some of these, as you'll see, one there right in the centre of the shot as it looks through the camera, I've got bright white shiny pectoral fins, really very vibrant metallic luster, obvious metallic luster. This one here in the centre of the shot now, one such example, and the smaller one there as well in the middle. So in terms of ones that I have the greatest hope for of achieving something, they would be the sort that I'm hoping they're going to come really good. Some of the yellow ones, very interesting. Lots of people have asked me what I'm hoping to create from the mixture of the Hariwake with the Benikiko Kuryu, and as much it was kind of a forced pairing, but I did have great hope for it as well, because of the qualities of the Hariwake. And we see, like this one in the centre of the shot here, some of the obviously yellow and white fish have some black pigmentation to them already. So hopefully they will be ones which will develop into this sort of Kikokuryu, Kikajaku kind of style of fish. But generally pretty pleased, certainly when you consider 6 weeks ago they hadn't even been born and kind of at the wit's end, and 6 weeks ago tonight it was now or never for the spawning taking place in that particular setup. I'm not saying I would have given up completely by any stretch of the imagination, but certainly 6 weeks ago, if they hadn't spawned that night, then we'd have been taking a break and a rethink about what we were going to do regarding parents, and given the parents that we'd try to rest and then try them again at a later date. So I'm going to get these back into their newly washed net, get some food into them, not being fed today obviously because they're being salted through, and hopefully in a couple of weeks time they'll have grown sufficient to do another selection and have another look through them.